At Christmas dinner, my father announced, "We are selling the family business. You will get nothing." A mocking smile appeared on my siblings' faces. I calmly asked, "Who's the buyer?" He proudly replied, "Cardinal Logistics." With a slight smile, I said, "Dad, I am Cardinal Logistics." The whole room froze. And then I revealed the real secret. "This is Jesse, and this is my story." It all started in a quiet little neighborhood in Miami, Florida. I could taste the bitterness of the wine before it even touched my lips. Not from the drink, but from the grin on my father's face. He held his glass high, the golden light catching the deep lines on his forehead. My siblings stood on either side of him like vultures. "Dressed for the holiday, big announcement," he said, his voice dripping with the false warmth of a man who had already decided your future. "We're selling the family business." I felt the air tighten. Forks froze halfway to mouths. He let the silence stretch, enjoying it like a fine brandy. Then he added, "And you, Jesse, you're receiving nothing." My sister Lila's lips twitched. My brother couldn't conceal his satisfaction. They thought this was their moment. The one where the rebellious son finally faced his punishment. I leaned back, steady and unreadable. "Who's the purchaser?" I asked. He smirked. "Cardinal Logistics." I smiled slowly and with control. "Dad," I said, my voice soft but cutting through the room, "I am Cardinal Logistics." Laughter died in their throats. Lila's fork slipped, clinking against her plate. My father's smile faltered, just enough for me to see the first hairline crack in his composure, and that's when I decided to give them the whole story. I wasn't supposed to be the one who took over the business. That was clear from the beginning. When I was 20, I suggested expanding our small freight company into interstate shipping. My father laughed in my face, calling me a dreamer as if it were a sickness. My siblings stayed silent, their quiet agreement obvious. So I departed, moved away with a few thousand and the knowledge I had gained from years of unpaid labor at his side. I swore I would never return, but life has a way of turning in on itself. The first crack came 5 years later. A friend in the industry called me, said our company's contracts were leaking to competitors. My father was too stubborn to adjust, too arrogant to see the storm approaching. The second crack came when I discovered why. Lila had convinced him I was attempting to steal clients behind his back. She told him I was building a rival business when in reality, I was working as a lowly operations manager just to get by. That's when I stopped feeling hurt and started thinking strategically. I didn't start Cardinal Logistics with revenge in mind. At first, it was about survival. But the thing about building something from nothing is that it makes you sharper. I learned where to reduce costs, how to charm clients, and how to read contracts like a criminal lawyer. Within 3 years, Cardinal had taken 3 of my father's largest contracts. Not under my name, of course. I used a holding company, clean paperwork, and a CEO who owed me more than his life. My family never connected the dots. By the time we moved into regional shipping, my father's company was already relying on bank loans just to meet payroll. I knew then that all I had to do was wait. The final piece came last spring. I had been discreetly buying up debt, the kind my father's accountant thought was manageable. Small amounts spread across different lenders, all funneled to me through separate shell entities. By December, I owned 68% of the company's outstanding debt, which meant that when he defaulted, and I knew he would, I would control exactly who could buy the company out of bankruptcy. I didn't even have to force it. His pride did the work for me. So there we were, Christmas dinner. My father thinking he was about to gut me in front of the family. "I am Cardinal Logistics," I said, and let the silence work for me. He tried to laugh. "Don't be ridiculous." I slid the envelope across the table, crisp legal documents with my name buried in the corporate structure, like a dagger concealed in silk. "I own the holding company that owns Cardinal," I said, "and as of last week, I'm also your main creditor." His face drained. He knew exactly what that meant. You set this up?" he stammered. "No," I said, leaning in. "You set this up. I just built the safety net for when you fell." My brother opened his mouth, but I cut him off. "And since you defaulted on the December payment, I exercised the buyout clause. The sale you're boasting about, it went through yesterday, which means," I let the pause hang, "as of midnight. The family business is mine." The room was silent, except for the ticking of the grandfather clock. My father's eyes darted to my siblings. He was looking for an ally, a lifeline. But they were frozen because they realized the inheritance they had been craving just disappeared. "You won't get away with this," he whispered. I smiled. "I already have." And then I dropped the real bombshell. "I'm not keeping it." I slid a second envelope onto the table. "I've sold the company's assets to a competitor, one you've always hated. Every truck, every route, every client is gone. By Monday morning, the name your father built will be just that, a name. And I've made sure no one in this family can use it again." Lila's jaw clenched, my brother's hands curled into fists. My father looked like a man who had been hollowed out from the inside. "I didn't do this for money," I said, standing. "I did it so none of you could ever use what he built to destroy someone else. I left them there, a perfect still life of greed, shock, and loss. While the snow fell quietly outside, driving away, I thought about the first time I had walked out of that house years ago. I had nothing then. No money, no allies, just the bitter taste of being underestimated. Now the bitterness was gone. In its place was something cleaner. Not joy, not even pride, just peace. 'Cause some debts aren't paid with money. They're paid in silence at a table, where the people who wrote you off finally understand. You were writing the ending all along. Don't forget to subscribe to Home Exposed for more amazing stories.